European policies and measures in the fight against COVID-19 and digital green certificate. The coronavirus was an unexpected but highly unwanted guest in the world, but the problem is that he took a huge number of victims and killed hundreds of thousands of lives. This continues to this day, every day. Up to date, in the world, there were uh, 130 million cases, but the good is that there are almost the same number of recovered persons, which is very good because there are some vaccines and other types of medicine which helps to prevent the coronavirus in Europe. The first European case was reported from France uh, in the 24th of January in 2020. 4 days later, the EU civil protection mechanism has been activated following a request for assistance from France to provide consular support to EU citizens in Wuhan, China. Uh, on the 31st of January were granted the first funds for researches against the coronavirus outbreak. Uh, the 10 million euro are granted from the European Union Research and Innovation Program Horizon 2020 to support research into the new coronavirus disease. The Commission launched an emergency request for expressions of interest for research projects. This is because it, it was very important to start how much earlier we can to find something we can beat the disease and be more healthy. How the pandemic affected the European economy. The coronavirus hit the economy very hard. So much areas were affected, with one of the most affected areas, the tourism. It employs about a huge number of people. 24, 27 million people are responsible for there are so much employees, and they are responsible for about 10% of the European economy. So we can see that the tourism is one of the most important areas in our economy. It informs so much of the European economy. As from the start of the pandemic, Europe welcomed fewer international tourists in the first half of 2020 and 97% less in the second half of this year. That's a huge number because these are so much money we lost from the pandemic. As a result of the crisis, about 6 million jobs have been called into question. The need for a new strategy for tourism in Europe has led Parliament's report to call for a new European strategy for the restoration of tourism and its development on a more sustainable basis. Digital green certificate. Uh, it the pandemic and the problem with the economy brings us back to 17th March when the European Commission made a proposal for a digital green certificate, which is in line with the report proposals, which are the Commission wanted more free tourism and to have a more stable that area of the economy. So we we found this European Commission made a proposal for this digital green certificate, which on 25th, 26th March, one of the meeting of the MIPS was discussed and supported that the proposal for digital green certificate with 468 votes in favor, 203 against, and 16 abstentions. So it has been supported overall the proposal for the digital green certificate. So what is a digital green certificate? A digital green certificate is a digital proof that a person has either been vaccinated against COVID, received a negative test result, or recovered from COVID-19. Every citizen can have one. National authorities are in charge of issuing the certificate. It could be issued by hospital test centers and health authorities. Um, we know that with the coming of the pandemic, there were some measures that we should be in line with to move from another country to another. So citizens can request either digital or paper version of it. Both will have a QR code that contains essential information as well as a digital seal to make sure that the certificate is authentic. So we can see that this can be made from someone by his hand. It is authentic in either way. Even the not yet vaccinated citizens will be able to travel to another EU country. The digital green certificate can also prove the result of testing, which is often required under applicable public health restrictions. The certificate is an opportunity for member states to adjust the existing restrictions on public health grounds. What does the digital green certificate work and across the EU? One of the biggest questions about this. Digital green certificate, how I said, contains a QR code with a digital signature to protect it against falsification. When the certificate is checked, the QR code is scanned and the signature is verified. Each issuing body has its own digital signature key. All of these are stored in a secure database in each country. The European Commission will build a gateway. Through this gateway, all the certificate signatures can be verified across the EU. The personal data of the certificate holder doesn't pass through the gateway, as this is not necessary to verify the digital signature. The European Commission will also help member states to develop software that authorities can use to check the QR codes. That makes us so easy to travel, and we also know that our personal data won't be used or saved at these gateways, so we can travel freely without any emergencies and so on. Personal information and key features on the certificate. Knowing that through the certificate can find out if we have been tested for COVID-19, if we have been vaccinated, and so on. Some of us may wonder personal information is contained in the certificate itself. The certificates will only include a limited set of information that is necessary, such as name, date of birth, and date of issuance, relevant information about the vaccine, and recovery unique identifier. For verification purposes, only the validity and authenticity of the certificate is checked by verifying who issued and signed it, either hospital or a national part. The information won't be retained by visited countries. Here we can see some key features which can be found on the green certificate. We said that it can be given in two formats, either digital or paper format. Each person can require either digital or paper format if he wants. It contains a QR code. It's free of charge. We don't pay about this. In national language, it can be in national language in English. Like here in Bulgaria, we will have it in Bulgarian and English, so we can use it in every country in Europe. The digital green certificate is also safe and secure and is valid in all European Union countries. So we head on to the vaccines against COVID-19. After the coronavirus was isolated in December 2019, its genetic sequence was published on 11th of January 2020, triggering an urgent international response to prepare for an outbreak and hurry development of a preventive COVID-19 vaccine. The The genetic sequence, which was published on this date, was very important for the researchers because that's something key to know when we research for a vaccine and what to affect mostly in our bodies. Since early 2020, by June 2020, tens of billions of dollars were invested by corporations, governments, in international health organizations, and university research groups to develop dozens of vaccine candidates and prepare for global vaccination programs to immunize against COVID-19 infection. The Pfizer BioNTech partnership submitted the EUA request for the FDA for the mRNA vaccine on 20th November of 2020. The mRNA COVID vaccine is the most used in every country. It's one of the most helpful, and that's why here we can see how it works. It What is an mRNA? It's a messenger RNA or mRNA genetic material that tells your body how to make proteins. In the vaccine, they're made of RNA. There's disruptive coding that's made delivery easy and keeps the body from damaging it. How we can see the vaccine teaches our cells how to copy more spike protein. If we are exposed to the real virus later, our body will recognize it and know how to fight out. That's why the mRNA vaccine is one of the most important and most used of people. And on this 2nd December of 2020, the United Kingdom's Medicines and Healthcare Products Regulatory Agency gave temporary regulatory approval for Pfizer BioNTech vaccine, becoming the first country to approve this vaccine and the first country in the Western world to approve the use of any of the COVID-19 vaccines. As of 21st of December, many countries and the European Union have authorized or approved that Pfizer BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine. Coronavirus mutations. Variants of each virus arise as a result of a mutation in its genetic code. Mutations occur in the process of reproduction of the virus, which is the main activity of every virus. The diseases it causes are the result of the virus multiplying. In December 2020, the first variant of the virus was discovered in the southeast of England, which is of interest to the scientific community due to its increased risk to public health. It caused international chaos, forcing a number of countries to suspend flights to and from the island. The opening of the new option also led the imposition of new stricter restrictions of the territory of the United Kingdom. The South African version appears to be as the same as the English. In addition, in Brazil, scientists have identified two or more variants of the may contain of the dangerous mutations. So these are the three variants, the three main variants of the virus in the European Union too, which can we see even nowadays, which is the question how much types of the virus are here, how it mutated and so on. So here is the question: are the existing vaccines effective even after the virus mutations? The short answer is yes, they are. The existing COVID-19 vaccines should be effective against the new variants. Experts told MIPS on 15th of March. Given the current knowledge of the variants, Dr. Bruno Ciancio said the center's models predict that the current measures and vaccination strategy rolled out by the EU will be effective, but stressed the importance of countries keeping track of variants and their spread. So we don't, we shouldn't think of either the vaccine will be effective or not. It's created for the virus, so it is effective in all the should be effective in all the mutations, and even if there are any other mutations in the near future, which we don't want to happen, they still should be effective. Either the companies of the vaccines should invent much more stronger vaccines. Here we can see the coronavirus cases, recoveries, and the deaths of up to the 6th of April. So it was very near here in the past of the 1,296,000 confirmed coronavirus cases globally. There have been 272,000 recoveries and 71,400 deaths. Where here we can see the active cases, the recoveries, and the deaths. Which the active cases are the most. The recoveries here we can see are slowly improving, and we should start about recovering. And we head to the recovery plan. To help the repair of the economics and social damage caused by the coronavirus pandemic, the European Commission, the European Parliament, and EU leaders have agreed on a recovery plan that will lead the way of the crisis and lay the foundations for a modern and more sustainable Europe. A total of 1.8 trillion euro will help rebuild the post-COVID-19 Europe. That's a huge amount of money which will help any European Union country to revive from the coronavirus pandemic and its causes. It will be a greener, more digital, and more resilient Europe. Next, the Generation EU. This is a temporary recovery instrument, including 750 billion euros, which will be used to help the repair of the immediate economic and the social damage brought by the coronavirus pandemic. The centerpiece of Next Generation EU, with 672.5 billion in loans and grants, will be available to support reforms and investments undertaken by European countries. So every country can request a loan for a part of this about almost 700 billion. The aim is to mitigate the economic and the social impact of the coronavirus pandemic and make European economies and societies more sustainable, resilient, and better prepared for the challenges and opportunities of the green digital transitions. Member states are working on their recovery and resilience plans to access the funds under the Recovery and Resilience Facility. Recovery assistance and cohesion and the territories of Europe, or shorter REACT EU, Next Generation EU also includes 47.5 billion for REACT EU. It is a new initiative that continues and extends the crisis response and crisis repair measures delivered though the Coronavirus Response Investment Initiative and the Coronavirus Response Investment Initiative Plus. It will contribute to a green, digital, and resilient recovery of the economy. Money back. Knowing that there will be so much money given for every country to recover from the COVID-19 pandemic, we should give back this money to have for the near future for the financial framework, which is one of the biggest plans um, discussed every time, every 6 to 7 years, the budget of the European Union. So, by new sources of the revenue, such as the plastic levy, will provide additional funding of the EU budget and help repay debt linked to a recovery fund. EU countries must ratify the key decision on their own resources as soon as possible. We know soon in the Europe more here in Bulgaria. Uh, by this summer, we shouldn't use any more plastics. So this there will be so much money not used for plastics and to provide environmental diseases. Once the member states have ratified the own resources decision, the package adopted today will apply uh, retroactively from 1st of January 2021. It will introduce the new plastic levy, the first of several new revenue streams to be created from now until 2026. The implementation of the own resources decision will allow the EU to borrow, how we said, 750 billion euros for the next generation EU recovery plan, European Recovery Instrument. Thank you for your attention and keep yourself safe.